you everyone for being here, and thanks a lot for having me. I hope you're well equipped with a coffee. I think that's the core of the coffee lecture. So my name is Daniela Schneider. I'm from the Galaxy team at the University of Freiburg. And in the next 25 minutes, I will introduce to you how you can use Galaxy for your analyses of different media in the humanities and social sciences. And maybe to clarify, Galaxy as a platform is completely agnostic, so it can serve researchers from many different fields, and it has a long and successful history in doing so. But due to my own training as a historian, I will focus mainly on the humanities and social sciences. But Wolfgang has a different background, so I'm very hopeful that we can answer all of your questions also for different fields later on. So before I started working for Galaxy, I did my PhD in Chinese history, and the above image could very well have been me. I had a lot of good material to work with, but I didn't really know how to do that productively and efficiently. At my chair and also in the research training group that I was a part of, many of my colleagues analyzed their material completely manually. So yeah, that's often a valid approach, but in my case, that seemed like a waste of time. In my dissertation, I analyzed censored Chinese newspapers from the 1930s, and it is a really cool topic that I enjoyed. And one of the core points was when I researched two different versions of a censored and an uncensored Chinese newspaper article. You can see them above. So on the left-hand side, you see that there is the red passage marks an X and a Chinese character afterwards. That's the censored part. This was published in Hong Kong. And another version of the same article that was not censored appeared in a newspaper in China. And that, of course, for me as a researcher was gold. So I really wanted to know what these Chinese character, or what the censorship characters stood for in a normal Chinese text. And it was a very repetitive task. So I always had to find what character was coming after that. And depending on that, I could find out what the actual omitted character was. If that had only been 2 articles, big deal, 1 hour of my life, fine. I could have completely compared that by hand and go through it line by line. But I need a lot of those articles. And my impression is that doing this manually would just not have been feasible. So I took a course in Python programming, but the segmentation and the way we approached it was mostly focused on English words. So my experience with Chinese constantly failed. And also the actual problem that I had, I really couldn't address. So the course, unfortunately, didn't help me that much. So in the end, I took the traditional path. I narrowed down my material. I selected fewer articles. That's all good scientific practice in my field. And not to worry, by now I successfully defended my PhD, so all good. But at the moment, and also looking back at how I approached the problem, it was very frustrating because I spent a lot of time that was not efficiently used, and also I lost a lot of material on the way that could have been so much richer in its insights. And only later on I learned that all this could have been much easier. For example, with using Galaxy. So what is Galaxy? In a nutshell, Galaxy is an open source data analysis platform. It derives from the strong increase in generated scientific data and the idea that scientists themselves should be able to do their text, data, and media analysis without the help of others. And therefore, Galaxy offers an open source framework for doing just that, and also doing this for big data. So this is also working for high amounts of data, not just small articles like mine, for example. The cool thing is that there is no programming skills required, and also no installations, because it works directly in your browser, and also no administrator rights or anything else that keeps you from using it that maybe is currently when you're installing new programs or anything like that. When I'm talking about Galaxy, I'm mostly speaking of Galaxy Europe. This is one of many different Galaxy instances. So there's a huge one in America. There's also a big one in Australia, and we are the biggest one in Europe. But there are also more than 100 smaller instances, sometimes only for research groups, some for specific countries. So it really depends. They all have a similar setup, but we have, in addition to the American and the Australian team, we have the biggest team that can offer support and also offer new features. So You can use any of the instances, but it might be a bit different what tools they are using, and also some of the specificity. So when I'm talking about Galaxy in this talk, I'm referring to Galaxy Europe, and we are at the University of Freiburg since 2018. We have more than 135 users by now, and we are one of the core services from many NFTIs and also in the European Open Science Cloud on a European level. How can you use Galaxy? All you have to do is go to usegalaxy.eu and log in. So once you click on the website, on the right-hand side appears the option to log in. And then you see the image where you can either register or already log in. And if you're part of an NFDI, you can also use the single sign-on from I am for NFDI if your research consortium supports that already. So then it's even quicker for you to get to Galaxy. And then you come to this overview. You can see that the website is split into 4 different screens. So on the right-hand side, you see the history. That means there are all the data sets and all the steps in your analysis. So you can also recreate what you've been analyzing before and reconstruct how you've been doing this. So this keeps the history of what you've been doing. You can also go to the left-hand side where the activity bar is for upload of data sets or looking through tools, who will then appear in the toolbar on the right side of this, or also look at existing workflows that will then appear in the center panel, or also check out things that you've already done, or the direct tool inputs that will also appear in the center panel. So on that interface, you can start your analysis, but you can also create workflows, visualize your results, share data, and so on. And one important factor, of course, is also that you can get help there. Maybe that sounds nice, but how does it appeal to you from the humanities or social sciences? We currently have more than 4,000 tools. Those are, for example, for text analysis, but also imaging tools, statistics and spreadsheet tasks. Also, we have, for example, Tesseract for optical character recognition. When you're working with scans or images that are not machine readable yet, there's the option to make visualizations directly within those workflows. But also what I find really, really helpful is file conversion between different formats. So sometimes you are creating a data set and it has a specific file format, but to continue working in another tool, that needs to be converted first. And this is something that Galaxy has integrated, so you don't always need to download, change the file type, upload again. And these nifty details, Galaxy already takes care for you. Then we have several AI tools, for example, like the LLM Hub, where you can run multiple open source large language models. We also have Whisper and WhisperX for speech to text. So when you have audio recordings, you can put those into text. Or for example, also Flux, who is creating images from text. We also have community-specific tools, for example, QGIS for mapping, but also interactive environments like RStudio, OpenRefine, or Jupyter Notebooks, if you want to interactively work with your data, or maybe you know how to code and you don't want to lose what you already have or what you're already working on, that you can just integrate also within Galaxy. So the idea really is that those tools are like Lego bricks. They can be standalone, but they are the strongest when they're combined with each other, just like in the Lego building sets. So it really depends on you what you want to create. The platform is as flexible as you want it to be. And if you, for example, want a single story house for your analysis, that's wonderful. You can build that. But maybe your colleague needs a skyscraper and Galaxy also features that. So there is really a lot of options here. Here's an example of one of the simple analyses that I did. So these are multiple different steps that you can see in my history here. I uploaded an audio file with Martin Luther King's speech, "I Have a Dream," and I wanted to convert that into German. So I first used Whisper to transcribe this. I needed to clean the transcript because in the beginning, there was an introduction from the speaker that was not relevant for my research. And then I wanted to translate it with a large language model that, again, had some longer prompts in the beginning and the end, and I cleaned those away. And If this is a repetitive task, I can create a workflow out of that. So that means, like here, like in the workflow editor, you can actually combine those tools together and make it reusable. So the next time I have an audio file that I want to convert and to translate, I can do that with just 2 clicks. And this is, I think, one of the biggest advantages from Galaxy, that it doesn't only help you do your analysis, but also make it reproducible and scalable. So these workflows you can construct manually. So you can go to the workflow editor and connect those particular steps step by step, but you can also do it with your data sets in the history, as I just showed you. And also you can publish, you can import already shared or published workflows. So this enables you a lot of automatization and also doing the same tasks over and over again with different inputs. So if you have repetitive tasks, this will save you loads of time. And also it's good for reproducibility because, for example, I work with a lot of texts that are copyright protected, so I wasn't able to share those. But with the help of such a workflow, I could at least show how I was approaching the analysis without having to give away the actual material. And still it helped me make better research data management. So going back to my Chinese articles, that's just what I did. So I realized that Galaxy had the option to compare those texts rather quickly. So I had to do a bit of pre-processing to make the text look similar. And then I could just use a so-called diff tool, which is normally just a command line tool, so something that I was not aware of and that I never used. And since Galaxy put that with the user interface, I was able to actually adapt that really quickly and extract what the character X actually replaced in the uncensored Chinese text. So exactly the task that I had before spent hours doing manually. Because I didn't just want to do this for my 2 texts, I created one of those workflows, and that's what you can see here. So there are multiple different steps that are connected. And if I want to, I can just run this now with any other data set that is equivalent. So whenever I have the censored and uncensored version of the article, I can run them and I get the result within minutes. And maybe that sounds good, but what about research data management? We at Galaxy have the idea that research data management is very important, but it's quite often something that's more perceived as a burden. So it can be rather tricky to convince people that it is actually helping them. So our approach is to make the research data management an add-on to the analysis that's already happening. So we are helping with the analysis, and the research data management comes as a byproduct so that it feels like less of an extra work that people are doing, but more as a supplement of the analysis that's happening anyways. So Galaxy can support the whole research data lifecycle, and we have different tools that can be tracked. So if you have different versions of a tool, those will be stored for several years. So if you've done an analysis in Galaxy 3 years ago, you can still reproduce it with exactly the tools and parameters you've used back then. That means it is really easy to keep track of what you've been doing, but also to reproduce, which is a big challenge otherwise in research data management. Also, you can use the Workflow Hub, for example, to see already published workflows or publish your workflows. You can share and download at any step. You can also import and export, and also you can download everything as an RO crate. So this is a research object crate, which means it's a fair digital object that you can later download, including all the parameters, all the tools that you've used, so that you really have all that you need with one click. And also, if you're doing your analysis in Galaxy, you can immediately publish it into Zenodo from here, or also to other repositories, for example. So on the right-hand side, you see this is one of the outputs that I created for the analysis earlier. So this is exactly what characters the X replaced in my analysis. And this is now something that with the export dataset tool, I can immediately put to Zenodo, making it a clean transition from my analysis to my publication. And of course, it's not only important to see how analyses are working, but also to enable people to do those analyses themselves. For that, we have the Galaxy Training Network. The Galaxy Training Network is a platform with more than 400 open educational resources. They are completely free, so you can do them for yourself, but you can also use them for teaching. They're available at training.galaxyproject.org. And there we cover many different scientific fields, but also scientific methods. So give this a look. It's really a great option to start out and see what's out there. And the nice thing is that all the tools that are featuring in the training network, they're immediately ready to use them on Galaxy. So there is nothing that you need to do. You can really just get started and then follow the tutorials step by step yourself and learn something new today. So in my case, I did just that. So I created the workflow for my newspaper comparison. And from that, I could actually produce a skeleton that rather quickly could then be converted into a tutorial. And now whoever wants to do a similar analysis can do that by just following those steps. If for whatever reason, Chinese newspaper articles don't excite you as much as they do me, do not worry. We have many other workflows and tools that are hopefully then more applicable to your work. So to me, one of the big problems in the humanities is that a lot of text that is available is not machine readable. So for example, only 4% of the European archives are scanned and machine readable, and that means that the vast majority is not. So making material accessible for further digital analysis is quite often the very first hurdle. So this is, for example, a very short workflow that can help you use scans or images and make them machine readable with the help of OCR conversion by Tesseract, so that you can have some material ready to analyze. We're also working on handwritten text recognition. We hope to be able to publish a tool for that soon. And to give you an idea how this is working, hopefully now you can see the video that I'm starting. So my colleague Alireza Haidari is using some newspapers from the University Library of Freiburg. He is accessing those directly through Zenodo from Galaxy, so he can just he can just go to the test folder that he created on Zenodo. He is opening those in this demonstration. He can upload those, and then soon you can see the newspaper from 1784, which looks great, but maybe is not really easy to understand even if you're reading German. So what he's doing here is, from the PDF, he first wants to extract the respective images. So he's running a tool here to do exactly that. Now you see that there is not one, but instead 12 individual images that we can now use to process in Tesseract. So Tesseract is one of the other tools. You just collect what you want to select what you want to work on. Here he's also checking that the language is correct. So German Fraktur is the print that has been used. He can select the output formats, in this case text and PDF. Just run the tool again. And you can see now that there's two outputs. As I said, that the raw text here that you could then continue working with, like analyzing, for example, natural language processing, whatever your text mining, whatever your analysis wants. And this is then the scanned PDF that's machine readable. So you can actually search within the material. And because he also wants to export this on to Zenodo, he's also doing this here. So he can just select where this should go. So he first needed to put his Zenodo data also in there. And then he can export this. And you can see that this has then appeared on Zenodo. This is the same folder that he used before, but now the file is actually machine readable. So that would be one live demonstration, so to say. I also worked with social media posts. So I used a data set from the BERT data portal, which was on the elections in Bavaria, and I wanted to know where most of those Instagram posts originated from. So I could easily map those with Galaxy on a map and see that most of them were actually coming from Munich, particularly from the Landtag, where all the politicians were meeting. So these are, some small ideas. But of course, you know your field best, and we are very happy if you join us because we are open source and community driven. So the more input from people we get, the better we get. And so with your help, we can improve our repertoire and also make Galaxy much better. We currently have several different special interest groups depending on scientific fields or regional communities, but also methodologies. One of those is the Digital Humanities and Social Science Special Interest Group. And if you scan the QR code, you can also get to that website and see already an overview of some example publications, workflows, and also tools that we've already shared. But you can also join us there in our Matrix channel if you want to get in touch and be more active and join us there. There's always the opportunity to get also help from the Galaxy Help Forum. So please do not hesitate and contact us if there is something buggy or not working. That's always important to know, and the forum is a great opportunity to do that. And this is all only possible with the generous support of many different funders that I would really like to thank on that note. And also thanks to all of you for your attention.